story of Jagtar Singh Johal. He spent over 8 years in arbitrary detention by India purely for the simple fact that he was researching and put together a website of information about the extrajudicial murders by the Indian state, Indian law enforcement during the 1980s and 1990s. As a result of that, he was when he flew across to Punjab to get married, he was bundled into the back of a van and never to be seen again, basically. He was tortured. We do know he was tortured by the Indian state, by Indian police, and he's been in prison ever since. And basically they've dragged out the judicial process. In fact, that's the wrong term. It's not even a judicial process. It is he's basically a political prisoner, like many others in his situation. Anyway, but the big question is, what have British MPs, what have British members of Parliament, what has the British government been do about it? And as I often rant, sadly, all too often, is not very much. And of course, the subject is raised regularly. It is raised by his brother Gurpreet, who's been hugely active, campaigning, obviously, on behalf of the family to try and free him. He has been meeting with various foreign secretaries over the years since his detainment. And of course, he has a large following, a large group of people who are very active socially as well, trying to raise awareness for the campaign, and again, campaigning for his release and to highlight the situation. We have the Sikh Federation UK, for example, another organisation that leads the vanguard from an organisational point of view, again, to keep the pressure on British MPs and likewise the British government, whether it was a Conservative government up until last year and now our recent Labour government. Now, of course, we have here in the UK, we have 11 or maybe 12, depending on your interpretation, Sikh MPs. So our Sikh community here in the UK is very well representative, I would say even proportionally represented in our democratic system. We have these 11 Sikh MPs who have a duty and a responsibility to speak up for their constituents, but also to speak up for the Sikh community here in the UK. So the big question is, and there is a big finger pointing at our Sikh MPs, what are you actually doing about this? Well, so this Sikh MP who's actually just stood up there and said, we're doing everything we can to free Jagtar Singh Johal, withdrew his signature from a crucial letter signed by other Sikh MPs and other MPs and various other people on behalf of the Sikh Federation UK, but he withdrew his signature. In other words, why? And the question at the time is, who was pressuring him? And the question was actually, the accusation was raised at the time from various quarters, not least in the Sikh community. Is this guy being pressured by Hindutva? Is he actually working on behalf of Hindutva forces from India? Why on earth did he withdraw his signature? He should be doing absolutely the opposite. And yet again, likewise here, he comes on and talks absolute nonsense on camera. And he as people have said, he's spouting barefaced lies. So again, it does raise the question, why are British Sikh MPs doing so little about one of their own who was arbitrarily detained in India?